doesn't matter, 8, 9, 1, 17, 20, no matter what, I will be forever the myth.
From the only bodybuilder to defeat Arnold Schwarzenegger at Olympia, to the one who played the Hulk without CGI, here are the 10 freakiest bodybuilders of the golden era who have paved the way for modern bodybuilding. Let's begin. Number 10, Serge Nu. In the golden era of muscle and might, there emerged a legend, a titan whose very presence on stage could leave crowds in sheer awe, and whose physique defied the limits of human potential. Serge Nu, known to the world as the Black Panther, was someone who looked like a highly polished statue. A bodybuilder whose chiseled form and unparalleled upper body left onlookers in disbelief and competitors in fear. I guess that's as real as it gets. But who was this icon, and what made him the unforgettable Black Panther of bodybuilding? Stay with us as we dive deep into the legend of Serge Nu. Born in 1938, the French professional bodybuilder grew up looking to Steve Reeves as the only source of inspiration. And by 1960, he joined the International Federation of Bodybuilders to be declared world's most muscular man in Montreal. 1 year later, he graced the cover of Muscle Builder magazine, further cementing his status as a top name. Although Nu continued to appear on magazine covers throughout the 1960s, his competitive career was rather lackluster during this time as he focused more on film roles than on bodybuilding. In fact, he competed in just 5 shows from 1960 to 1970. Though we have no complaints, it's hard to not wonder what he could have achieved if he had dedicated himself full-time to the sport in those years. Nevertheless, he made a full return to bodybuilding in 1970 and was even voted as the IFBB Vice President for Europe. From 1970 to 1975, Nu had a series of impressive finishes, including taking first at a Mr. Europe show and 4 podium appearances at the Mr. Olympia. The 1975 Olympia would, however, be his most infamous finish. Nu faced controversy that threatened to overshadow his achievements. He was rocked by allegations of having starred in a pornographic film, a claim that led to his disqualification from competition on the grounds that it did not represent bodybuilding in a respectable manner. Despite his vehement denial of the allegations, the IFBB, under Ben Weider's leadership, initially refused to let him compete, fearing damage to the show's reputation. However, a last-minute agreement allowed Nu to compete, though the incident left an indelible mark on his career. Nevertheless, he finished second. It disappointed him a lot since he arrived in South Africa in such an incredible condition that it prompted speculations if the reigning champion, Arnold Schwarzenegger, could retain his title against the Black Panther. Following his experiences with the IFBB, Nu joined forces with Sergio Olivia in the World Bodybuilding Guild Federation and founded the World Amateur Bodybuilding Association, continuing to compete and inspire. He won the Mr. Universe title in 1976, among other prestigious awards, retiring in 1983 but continuing to influence the sport and its enthusiasts for decades. Nu won 5 major bodybuilding titles in his illustrious career, including the 1976 Mr. Universe, 1977 Mr. Olympus, 1977 Mr. World, and 1981 and 1983 World Championship. But what made Nu look apart? It wasn't just his physique, which seemed as if the bodybuilding gods themselves had sculpted it. It was his training, a regimen built on instinct, fast tempos, and relentless high reps. His diet, extraordinary, more than 5 pounds of meat a day as he prepared to conquer the stage. Nu philosophy on bodybuilding was profound, viewing it as a union of mind, body, and spirit. His approach was not just about building muscle, but about forging a way of life, a legacy that endures beyond his passing in 2011. It won't be wrong to say that he was the real Black Panther.
Hello, my name is Serge Nu, a 5-time Mr. Universe. I'm French, but now I live in California.
Number 9, Chester Yorton. How would you best describe Chester Yorton? Well, the man who defeated Arnold Schwarzenegger. Chester Yorton, also known as Chet, stands as a shadowed figure among the pantheon of bodybuilding legends. Unfortunate, but true. Hailing from the humble beginnings of Wisconsin in 1939, Chet's early life was as unremarkable as any. Far from the early bloomers of bodybuilding fame, his journey into the realm of iron and muscle was anything but predestined. As a teenager, Chet dabbled in baseball and basketball, blending into the background without a hint of the extraordinary physical feats that would later define his legacy. So how did he enter the world of bodybuilding? By accident, literally. You see, Chet's life took a dramatic turn following a near-fatal car accident. The The crash left him with injuries so severe that doctors considered amputation. However, after enduring extensive surgery, including the placement of a steel plate and screws to reconstruct his legs, Chet faced a grueling recovery. It was during this time, amidst the shadows of his hospital room, that he discovered a pair of dumbbells. And from then on, as the phrase goes, the rest is history. The narrative of Chet Yorton is punctuated with milestones that defy the ordinary. From the ashes of his recovery, he rose, opening a gym and immersing himself in the discipline of bodybuilding with a zeal that was infectious. Despite the curveball thrown by a military draft, which saw him discharged due to the lingering effects of his injuries, Chet's dedication to the sport never wavered. His competitive spirit was undimmed, culminating in victories that make him a critically underrated legend of the bodybuilding world. Titles such as Mr. Los Angeles in 1963, NABBA Amateur Mr. Universe, and IFBB Mr. America in 1966 are but a few highlights in a career that defied expectations. But the most riveting chapter in Chet's story is his victory over Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1966 Mr. Universe contest. Against the backdrop of Arnold's burgeoning legend, Chet emerged victorious, a testament to his prowess and the embodiment of natural bodybuilding's ethos. This victory, underscored by Arnold's own acknowledgement of Chet's superiority, remains a defining moment in bodybuilding history. As Arnie humbly said, "I have to admit they made the right choice. Chet was almost 10 kilograms lighter than me, but his body was fantastically proportioned. His muscles finely worked and hard, and his poses smoother and more confident." Chet Yorton's legacy, however, extends beyond the trophies and the titles. He championed a drug-free approach to the sport, setting a precedent for generations to come. Despite this, his contributions often go unrecognized in current discussions on natural bodybuilding. He deserves to be remembered for more than just the man who defeated Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Chet Yorton, remember, car accident, legs demolished, never walk again. Says, that's not true, I'm going to come back. 2 steel pins in each thigh, and he built himself up. I think he won, let's see, that night Dave won the Mr. America.
Number 8, Robbie Robinson. The Black Prince of Bodybuilding. Robbie Robinson is a legendary figure in the world of bodybuilding with an illustrious career spanning several decades. Growing up in a place where opportunities were scarce and racial prejudice was all too common, Robbie faced challenges that would have discouraged many, but not him. These obstacles only ignited a fire within him, a determination to build a life beyond the confines of adversity. As a teenager, Robbie found solace and passion in bodybuilding. He was mesmerized by the muscular heroes in comic books and inspired by legendary bodybuilders like Bill Pearl and Larry Scott. Lifting weights at his high school, Robbie's dedication quickly sculpted his physique into something remarkable, signaling the emergence of a natural talent in the world of bodybuilding. Robbie's journey took a pivotal turn when he went to Florida A&M University on a track and field scholarship. It was there, amidst his academic and athletic pursuits, that he dove into the competitive bodybuilding scene. His breakthrough came in 1974, clinching the Mr. Florida title and marking the beginning of an illustrious career. This victory wasn't just a personal triumph, it caught the eye of Joe Weider, a titan in the bodybuilding world and co-founder of the IFBB. Recognizing Robbie's potential, Weider offered him the chance of a lifetime to move to California and chase his dream of becoming a professional bodybuilder. And so, with the backing of a legend, Robbie Robinson embarked on a journey that would see him rise from the challenges of his youth to the pinnacle of bodybuilding glory. Exciting times ahead. So in the late 70s and 80s, Venice Beach was buzzing, and at the heart of it all was Gold's Gym, the place where legends were made. This is where Robbie Robinson, a true powerhouse, spent his days, shaping his legacy alongside the biggest names in bodybuilding. Think Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, and Franco Columbo. It was an epic era for the sport, full of larger-than-life personalities, and Robbie was right there in the mix. Robbie wasn't just another face in the crowd. He was racking up titles like they were going out of style. He snagged the Mr. America title in 1975, turning heads by winning Mr. World in 1976, and by 1977, he was on top of the world as Mr. Universe. Even though the Mr. Olympia title eluded him, Robbie was always in the mix, impressing everyone with his performances and earning a ton of respect along the way. But here's the thing, Robbie's story isn't just about the trophies and titles. It's about a guy who stood shoulder to shoulder with the giants of bodybuilding and held his own. His journey, filled with hard work, dedication, and a bit of Venice Beach magic, made him a legend in a golden era that inspired a whole new generation of bodybuilders. So let's take a moment to appreciate Robbie Robinson, not just for the titles he won, but for the incredible spirit he brought to this amazing sport.
Robbie Robinson. Yeah, wait a minute. Let him hit a double shot, a double bicep shot for this lady here. Hit a quick hit. Hit a double bicep shot. Come on now. Hit 3 shots. All right.
Number 7, Frank Zayn. If there's one name that would always appear among the top aesthetic bodybuilders, that would be Frank Zayn. In fact, it won't be wrong to say that the cornerstone of the bodybuilding's golden age is Frank Zayn, who still has one of the most coveted physiques in history. The 3-time Mr. Olympia is touted to have one of the greatest physiques in the history of bodybuilding due to his meticulous focus on symmetry and proportion. But the most crazy part is that he was one of the first athletes to truly use the power of the mind to develop one of the biggest physiques the world has ever seen. How is it possible? You see, Zayn was a master of presentation and conditioning, and that's why he earned the nickname the Chemist. So while others were just starting to play around with visualizing their muscles working and connecting their minds to their workouts, Zayn was ahead of the game, really getting the hang of this approach to lifting weights. He talked a lot in his books and interviews about how important it is to really think about what you're doing when you train. Inspired by his own Zen Buddhism practice, Zayn would use meditation, positive thinking, picturing his successes, and staying present to get the most out of his workouts. Basically, Zayn was the first gym guru to truly tap into the power of the mind to boost bodybuilding results. To the people training alongside him back in the day, Zayn was the guy who left no stone unturned in his quest for fitness. He always said that imagining yourself reaching your fitness goals and taking it step by step was the key to success. Now, speaking of his career, it's defined by his mastery over the art of physique sculpting. In 1976, the world of bodybuilding was buzzing with anticipation. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the legendary Iron Oak, had stepped back, leaving the throne empty. This was Frank Zayn's moment to shine. At the Mr. Olympia contest in Columbus, Ohio, Zayn stepped onto the stage. He was more than ready to take the crown. However, the competition was fierce, especially from Franco Columbo, Arnold's powerhouse training partner. Columbo, with his blend of raw muscle and strength, took home the title, setting up a classic showdown of aesthetics versus brute force. Despite the loss, Zayn didn't see it as a defeat, it was a challenge. Fired up, he threw himself into training with a new intensity. His perseverance paid off. By 1977, Zayn was unstoppable, clinching the Mr. Olympia title in a field packed with talent. He didn't stop there, securing victories in 78 and 79 as well, with the latest being his personal favorite. These weren't just wins, they were a testament to Zayn's dedication and his vision of bodybuilding as an art form. The 81-year-old living legend continues to inspire thousands by posting pictures of his current physiques, and even to this day, he has a physique that thousands idolize and strive for. The next entry on our list is legend holding the distinct record of winning the first Mr. Olympia.
What we're doing is working on creating a perfect body, and it's a very elusive thing, and that's just what you have to do.
Number 6, Larry Scott. It's so inspiring to see someone defy the odds and achieve greatness, especially when faced with skepticism and doubt. It's truly inspiring. Well, that was the case with Larry Scott. It's funny how one of the most prominent golden era bodybuilders was once thought to have very limited potential as a prolific bodybuilder due to his narrow shoulders. Thankfully, it didn't deter him, or else we wouldn't be talking about him. What a loss that would have been, right? Anyway, coming back, he started training vigorously at the age of 16, and by the age of 20, he had won his first bodybuilding contest, Mr. Idaho 1959, without being deterred by anyone's personal belief. In 1960, Larry Scott set off for California, driven by his ambition to carve out a career in professional bodybuilding. Guided by the legendary trainer Vince Gironda, Scott meticulously sculpted his body, achieving remarkable success in the competitive arena. His impressive victories during this era included clinching Mr. California in 1960, Mr. Pacific Coast in 1961, and Mr. America in 1962. Came 1965 and the bodybuilding was on the cusp of witnessing history. Times were changing fast, and the IFBB unveiled the Mr. Olympia contest in a bid to determine the ultimate champion from among the globe's most formidable athletes. As anticipation built, an elite group of competitors lined up for the challenge, setting the stage for a momentous occasion. Amid this high-caliber lineup, Larry Scott's relentless dedication and hard work were about to be rewarded in a way that would etch his name into the history of bodybuilding. He triumphed as the first ever Mr. Olympia champion, a pioneering achievement that not only cemented his legacy, but also established a benchmark for all future titans of the sport. The following year, in 1966, Scott did the unthinkable by defending his title, clinching the Mr. Olympia crown once again. Remarkably, Larry Scott remains the only bodybuilder to have never been defeated in any Mr. Olympia competition he entered, a record that may stand unbroken forever. By the way, Larry Scott might be considered the original bodybuilding celebrity, not just for his collection of trophies, but also because he was the era's most photographed bodybuilder. This extensive exposure led photographers to develop what is now known as the Larry Scott style.
A forearm exercise, because you got to hold those dumbbells and you're kind of pressing it out there. Going like this.
Number 5, Dave Draper. When someone is given the nickname Blonde Bomber, you can bet they fully deserve it, and Dave Draper lived up to this nickname in the truest sense. This legendary bodybuilder from the golden era was the complete package. Classic good looks, an imposing height of 6 feet, and a chiseled physique tipping the scales at 235 pounds. So it's hardly a knock that he played a crucial role in thrusting bodybuilding into the limelight, making the sport more popular than ever before. But back in 1962, something big happened in the world of bodybuilding. Draper stormed onto the scene, snagging the Mr. New Jersey title and setting the stage for an unforgettable era. Not long after, he headed west to Southern California, where the legend of Muscle Beach and the hallowed halls of Gold's Gym in Venice awaited. Draper wasn't just about building muscle. For him, lifting was a way of life, offering both physical and spiritual upliftment. Yet he wasn't one for the showboating side of bodybuilding. Those poses and preens at competitions weren't really his thing. Imagine a bodybuilder so cool that he'd rock jeans to the gym, a detail Frank Zayn himself remembers. And in the swinging 60s, before Arnold Schwarzenegger even stepped off the plane from Austria, Draper was already a star. He had won Mr. America in 1965, Mr. Universe in 1966, and Mr. World by 1970. He was an inspiration to a generation of bodybuilders, including our beloved Arnie. By the way, Schwarzenegger kept a magazine cover photo of Draper on the wall above his bed for motivation. His striking presence and candid insights into the sport made him a beloved figure among fans and aspiring bodybuilders alike. Draper's openness extended beyond the camera lens to his frank discussions about the use of steroids in the industry. His advice on the matter was stark and rooted in personal experience, encapsulating the dual edges of performance enhancement, the temporary gains and the long-term regrets. He advised, if you're not taking them, don't. If you do, you'll wish you never did. Dave Draper departed this world on November 30th, 2021, his legacy extending far beyond his formidable physical accomplishments. A testament to his enduring impact is the way the current enthusiasts and students of bodybuilding continue to draw wisdom from his writings. His works, comprising narratives, life experiences, adventures, insights, and personal reflections, are captured in both print and audio formats. These resources serve as a treasure trove for anyone passionate about muscle, power, strength, and the discipline of iron and steel.
Hey. How you doing, chick? Hey, haven't we met somewhere before?
Yeah, before.
Number 4, Franco Columbo. Franco Columbo holds the distinction of being the shortest ever Mr. Olympia. But did his 5'5" height stop him from carving out a giant legacy? It did the complete opposite. His smaller height allowed him to compete in the under 200-pound category, but it also helped pave the path for the smaller athletes of the future. Born in the rugged landscapes of Sardinia, Italy, Columbo's journey to greatness is nothing short of epic. In all of the 15 Mr. Olympias, Columbo probably had the most humble beginnings. His parents were shepherds, a trade Columbo transitioned into at 11. In his teens, he took up boxing but later changed direction to solely fit weights both as a powerlifter and a bodybuilder. Nicknamed the Sardinian Strongman, Columbo's compact frame was a marvel of muscle density, symmetry, and power, rare qualities that made him a formidable competitor. In his time competing in the world of professional bodybuilding, Franco Columbo reached heights that are unbelievable. He won the Mr. Universe title in 1970 and Mr. World Championship in 1971. Additionally, he also won the title of Mr. Olympia in both 1976 and 1981. However, the last one was not without controversy. You see, Columbo returned to competition at the 1981 Mr. Olympia, which was being promoted by Schwarzenegger in Columbus, Ohio. He won, but the decision caused a storm of controversy, as the general view was that Danny Padilla or Tom Platt should have beaten him. It was to be his last contest, and it's a pity that such an effervescent character should call it a day on such a sour note. Perhaps it is because one of the most well-known facts about Franco Columbo is his deep relationship with bodybuilding great Arnold Schwarzenegger. The two were close friends and training partners for 5.5 decades. Moreover, Schwarzenegger asked Columbo to be the best man at his wedding. Despite the controversial win at the 1981 Mr. Olympia, there's no denying Columbo was a champion bodybuilder with a happy-go-lucky personality. Franco Columbo passed away on August 30th, 2019 at the age of 78, a loss that deeply affected Schwarzenegger. He published a eulogy expressing his grief. "I am devastated today, but I am also so grateful for the 54 years of friendship and joy that we shared. The pumps, the chess games, the construction work, the meals, the pranks, the life lessons, we did it all together. We grew and we learned and we loved. My life was more fun, more colorful, and more complete because of you."
Guide is Franco Columbo, former Mr. Universe, Mr. World, Mr. Just About Everything in bodybuilding.
Number 3. Sergio Olivia. Sergio Olivia, the man, the myth, the legend. A bodybuilding legend like Sergio Olivia comes around only once in a lifetime. Aptly named the myth, the former Olympia champion was simply a force to be reckoned with. He had an unmatched combination of mass and aesthetics, backed by an incredible V-taper and tiny waist. One could argue that the Cuban-American Golden Era legend was the most genetically gifted bodybuilder of all time. And did you know that he is the only bodybuilder to ever beat Arnold Schwarzenegger at Olympia? Yes, sir. What giant of a man must it take to make Arnold Schwarzenegger feel small? You see, it was 1969, and Arnold, having already clinched the Mr. Universe title earlier that same day, dared to step into the Mr. Olympia contest for the very first time. His target, none other than Olivia, the reigning champion for 2 consecutive years and heralded as the zenith of bodybuilding prowess. Arnold, with a blend of audacity and vision, had whispered something really motivating to himself, as recounted in his 1977 memoir called The Education of a Bodybuilder. "I said to myself, tonight I'm going to wipe him off." Yet, the moment he laid eyes on Sergio, reality struck him with the force of a tempest. It was as jarring as if I'd walked into a wall. He was so huge, so fantastic. There was no way I could even think of beating him. I admitted my defeat and felt some of my pumps go away. By all accounts, Olivia was heralded as the inaugural titan of muscle, a colossus whose very physique defied reality, thus earning him the epithet the Myth. This legend was embodied through his astonishing measurements: biceps stretching to 22 inches, thighs boasting a girth of 30 inches. All the while, his waist remained an astonishingly slender 28 inches. Towering at 5 foot 10 inches and fluctuating between a Herculean 225 to 245 pounds in his prime, Olivia carried out a legacy with a pose that only he could manifest, the victory stance. This iconic gesture demanded arms to be thrust skyward, fist elegantly curved, a pose that, when attempted by mere mortals, made them only look thin in comparison. As a Cuban refugee who moved to America, Olivia was a fierce competitor on the field and a great human being. His journey to stardom began in 1964 with a win at the Mr. Illinois competition, a victory that ignited his career. Despite a modest 7th place at the Mr. America that same year, Olivia's resilience saw him claim the Mr. Midwest and Mr. America titles in 1965. His runner-up position at the 1966 Mr. Universe contest was merely a prelude to his dominance at the Mr. Olympia competition, where he won 3 consecutive titles from 1967 to 1969. After his iconic win in 1969 against Schwarzenegger, the rivals competed once more in 1972's Mr. Olympia, but this time it was a narrow defeat for him. He continued to dazzle fans and competitors alike well into the 1980s, leaving behind a legacy that inspired countless aspiring bodybuilders. He passed away on November 12, 2012, at the age of 71. He will be remembered as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, bodybuilder of all time, who carved a name for himself through the power of determination, hard work, and the sheer will to be the best.
A former Mr. World, a former Mr. Universe, a 3-time Mr. Olympia, he's known as the Myth, Sergio!
Number 2. Lou Ferrigno. The name Lou Ferrigno needs no introduction or exaggeration. Imagine how ripped Ferrigno was that he starred as the only Hulk without a costume or CGI. At a young age, Lou Ferrigno contracted an ear infection that led to a significant hearing loss. It made his speech difficult for his peers to understand. As a result, he was bullied and called names like Deaf Louie and Deaf Mute. Despite the constant bullying, Ferrigno was taught to never feel sorry for himself. Instead, he turned to comic books and immersed himself in the stories of superheroes, including the Hulk. And around the age of 13, Ferrigno got into bodybuilding, and it changed everything for him. Lou Ferrigno's transformation from a bodybuilding powerhouse to a legendary screen Hulk is a tale of pure dedication and muscle. Snagging titles like IFBB Mr. America in 1973, and not once, but twice as Mr. Universe in 1973 and 1974. Lou was no stranger to the winner's circle, boasting a towering figure at 6 feet 5 inches and a solid 270 to 280 pounds of pure muscle during his competition days. Ferrigno quickly rose to prominence in the bodybuilding arena. Then came the epic showdown of the 70s, the muscle clash between Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Their rivalry was the stuff of legends, immortalized in the documentary Pumping Iron. It was like watching two titans go head-to-head, each pushing each other to the limits of human strength and determination. And even though Lou never managed to snag the Mr. Olympia title from Arnold, their rivalry was a spectacle that inspired a generation to lift more, push harder, and dream bigger. Then 1977 was the year Lou went from muscle man to green superhero, landing the iconic role of the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk TV series. His massive build and presence were so spot on that he became the living embodiment of the Hulk. No CGI needed. The show was a hit, running from 1978 to 1982, and Lou became a household name, proving that his talents weren't just limited to flexing in front of judges. Behind the scenes, Lou's training for the Hulk was as hardcore as it gets. Picture this, up to 80 sets in a single workout session, lasting 3 hours with only a couple of minutes break between sets. That's not just dedication, that's superhuman. Despite soaring to fame on the small screen, Lou never forgot his roots in bodybuilding. His impact on fitness and bodybuilding is legendary, inspiring countless folks to chase their fitness dreams. Lou Ferrigno's story isn't just about muscle and might. It's a reminder that with hard work, determination, and maybe a few hundred sets of curls, you can achieve the extraordinary. Lou's legacy is as enduring as his biceps, a testament to the power of dreaming big and lifting even bigger. Number 1. Arnold Schwarzenegger. How could we possibly roll out a list of the top 10 freakiest bodybuilders from the golden era and not tip our hats to Arnold Schwarzenegger? Let's be real, Barney is not just a solid guy, he tops the League of Legends. Arguably the most famous bodybuilder of all time, he's the obsession of bodybuilders all over the world. It is crazy, especially given the fact that he retired from the bodybuilding scene back in 1980 at the age of 33. There's so much to talk about him that it would take a series of videos to discuss his accomplishments, but we'll give it a shot. He won the annual Mr. Universe competition at age 20, becoming the youngest person to ever do so. His 57-year-old record was finally broken last year by 19-year-old Anton Ratushny from Texas, USA. His domination in bodybuilding was unparalleled. Winning Mr. Olympia 7 times from 1970 to 1980, Arnold became the face of the sport, inspiring millions with his incredible work ethic, charisma, and groundbreaking physique. Schwarzenegger's physique during these years was unparalleled, showcasing a level of symmetry, size, and definition that was ahead of his time. His dedication to perfection and intense training regimen were legendary, often cited as the blueprint for success in the sport. Beyond his physical achievements, Arnold's impact on the culture of bodybuilding and fitness is immeasurable. He brought the sport into mainstream, making it more accessible and appealing to a wider audience. His charisma and larger-than-life personality were key factors in this transition, as he appeared on talk shows, in documentaries, and eventually in Hollywood movies. His role in Pumping Iron, a docudrama that focused on the rivalry between him and fellow bodybuilder Lou Ferrigno, was particularly influential. It introduced the world to the intensity and dedication of bodybuilding at the highest level, while also showcasing Arnold's wit and charm. Arnie's transition to Hollywood was seamless, propelled by his iconic physique and presence. He became an international superstar, starring in blockbuster hits like The Terminator, Predator, and Total Recall. His success in the film industry did more than just further his own career. It continued to shine a spotlight on bodybuilding, inspiring countless individuals to pursue fitness and the sport itself. Moreover, Schwarzenegger's contribution to the bodybuilding community didn't end with his retirement from competition. he became a prominent figure in the sports promotion, organizing the Arnold Sports Festival, which has grown to become one of the largest multi-sport events in the world, featuring bodybuilding as its centerpiece. His vision for the festival was to celebrate fitness and sports, encouraging participation from athletes of all ages and levels. Arnold Schwarzenegger's legacy is not just in the titles he won or the muscles he's built. It's in the way he transformed bodybuilding from a niche sport to a global phenomenon. He showed that bodybuilders could be more than just muscle. They could be charismatic, intelligent, and successful in various arenas. His life story, from a young Austrian boy with a dream to an international icon, continues to motivate and inspire. It's a testament to the idea that with hard work, dedication, and a bit of charisma, anyone can achieve greatness.
Some are flesh and blood. Some legends walk among us. But...
And there you have it, folks. The grand tour of the 10 freakiest bodybuilders of the 1960s golden era. Don't let the journey end here. If you enjoyed this video, show your support by hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel. Your subscription is more than just a number to us. It's a motivation to keep digging deeper, exploring further, and bringing you more of the content you love.